Good evening. It's Thursday, February 15th, 2024, and coming to you from Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Tacoma, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
They're extra rowdy this evening. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Why? I can't control them. So it's half price candy day. In case Valentine's candy should be half price at your local store, wherever that is, or heavily discounted anyway. So, it makes me wonder how much unused Valentine's Day candy there is at the end of the year. At the end of the
have
season.
you heard about that they're not discounting it
What?
as much?
Why?
Like so they've started developing. I was talking with somebody recently who works like for a distributor about this, and they said that they're sending it back, and then the packaging that you buy sometimes is just a Valentine's Day themed package, but the candy individually wrapped candies like Reese's and things that aren't necessarily Valentine's Day themed, so they send it back. They open the package and then they repackage them.
Right.
In regular packaging versus just clearancing them or discounting them.
That's smart. I mean, that's a smart way to do it because candy. I'm pretty sure a Reese's peanut butter cup has a pretty long shelf life. I don't know what the length is, but I feel like it lasts a long time.
Great question. What is the shelf life of Reese's?
Right, of the miniatures, right? The little miniatures, because that's what you want to eat. And to be honest with you, okay. So here's my question. So now that we're off topic already, let's talk about this. We might as well. So. Do you prefer the regular size Reese's cups, the giant ones, which they've gone weird with the
big cups,
the big cups, the minis, not the minis, but the individual size? Yeah, I guess they're minis, but the individually wrapped little ones, or they have some in the bag that are unwrapped, but they're even smaller. You know what I mean? You don't have to unwrap them, but they're little ones. I mean, if you're gonna go pick one, I mean Reese's. I'm just assuming that everyone loves Reese's peanut butter cups the way I do. And that it's like your favorite candy. And why wouldn't it be? And then, but it's a matter of which size do you like? What do you like to have? The little bite-sized ones are great. I got to unwrap them. Right?
Yeah. The best ones to buy, my personal hot take here, go to the grocery store in the candy aisle. You'll actually find a Reese's bar. It's probably about 6 inches by 3 inches.
Yeah.
It's like a bar. It's more like in the vein of like a Hershey's bar.
Okay.
It's more like that, but it's a Reese's bar. And they're 2 for $3 at Safeways. That is the best way to buy them.
Okay. All right. But a bar doesn't count as a cup though. It's not a peanut butter cup anymore.
Okay. I know, but I'm going for the Reese's for the flavor. I don't really care about the delivery method.
Well, then for that matter, how about the animal crackers that are covered in Reese's, or the pretzels, or the?
Okay, the animal crackers that are covered in Reese's are incredible.
Pretty darn good.
But of the cups, I prefer the regular sized original cups. Yeah.
Okay.
I do not like the big ones. I don't need the extra large cups.
Do you do like we do? And I buy the king size one that has 4, and give 2 to your mom, and 2 for me.
You mean?
Or you just
1 to Cassie?
1 and 3 is that the distribution that you're?
No, I do the thing most people do, which is you buy 4, you eat 4, and then you never tell them it happened.
You just don't even mention the fact that it had.
That's how that
burn
works.
the receipt.
It's an agreed upon social thing. We all know everyone's hoarding candy from each other. We don't call each other out for it because we can't get called out for it.
We don't do that anymore. We used to, but we don't do that anymore. Mostly because I look awkward with a Reese's peanut butter cup in my mouth when your mom asks me, "Is that a Reese's peanut butter cup?" And I go, "No." That's the main reason. I mean, I can't think of a better reason than that. But I mean, yeah, we share stuff now.
What's the perfect answer for when somebody says, "Where'd you get that?"
Where did you get?
The perfect answer is
when your significant other says that.
Yeah, when they go anything like you're drinking something, you're eating something. Where'd you get that? I've had it.
It's been here.
It's been here.
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't find it earlier.
Not my fault. Your eyes don't work.
It was fair game. You could have had it.
It was right over there
But
in
that's
that box, underneath that
the
box.
problem
You
is
should have seen.
the problem is if you say that you could have had it, it's fair game, it's been here. The follow-up question is that the last one? And then you
Ugh.
and then you might have to lie about that. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's why you gotta eat them. That's why you gotta eat them
yeah,
like in disgrace by yourself.
that's just
You can't
that's just
publicly eat
sad.
them.
Sitting
Well,
there,
if you're gonna sit with somebody, buy a bag of the little ones and eat
yeah,
them together.
share, yeah. Well,
Or
that's what we
but
do.
if you're gonna buy the cups, just do it by
Eat it on
yourself.
the way home from the
Eat it on the
store.
way home. That's
Yeah,
right.
and don't leave the trash in the
While you're
car.
paying, you're eating it.
Do not leave the trash in the car. That's my advice.
Right. By the
Incriminate-
way, so the shelf life of Reese's is Reese peanut butter cups. Refrigerator 8 to 11 months.
Who keeps
Pantry
it?
airtight 7 to 9 months. Unsealed up to 1 month. Conditions vary. Freezer 1 to 2 years, and in a hot car 1 to 2 weeks.
In a hot car? Is that what it said?
It says in hot environment and then parentheses car.
One to
So
two. It's not
1 to
gonna
2
make.
weeks.
Yeah, but then it'll be a bar.
Well, it depends on how hot the car is, right?
I mean, it's gonna reshape itself. If it gets above
Yeah.
like 80, that cup is not a cup anymore. It's just a bit. It's just
It's a
two big
bar,
blobs now.
which
Yeah,
is
it's
what
a bar.
I prefer.
Well, right. So that's what you do is just buy those and leave them in the car.
Toss them in the back of the car in the
I
summer, and
mean,
then come back and I
when-
drink my Reese's.
Come back in a couple weeks. Hey, look at what I got.
We went
all
way
right.
off topic.
All right. Anyway, so we're here to talk about the Super Bowl. All things Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the festivities. We're going to talk about the commercials, which is pretty much all there is to talk about, really. Anyway, right? The game was good. Let's talk first, though.
Okay.
Before we get moving, trivia question. All right, Stave and Tone trivia question.
Okay.
We got to have the trivia question. It is Super Bowl related, of course. This is the last Super Bowl trivia question of the year. So there you go, right? And we're only in February. So here's the question. You ready?
Yep.
3 times a losing Super Bowl team has returned the next year and won the Super Bowl. I want you to name those 3 teams. There you go. It's that easy. Simple. There's only 3. Should be easy. So there's been 8 times that a team has lost the Super Bowl the previous year and come back to the Super Bowl. Only 3 times has that team won. So that tells you how hard it is to lose a Super Bowl and come back the next year and win. So there's that. Anyway, trivia question. You can answer now if you think you might know anything. Otherwise,
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs for one,
okay.
because I feel like they played Tampa and lost, and then came back the next year and beat the 49ers.
Okay.
The first time.
Okay.
No, because that means this would have been number 3. It's already out of whack. Dag nabbit. It has to be the Patriots.
So the Patriots are one of them. Do you know what year that was? Right? Because they only went to the Super Bowl 10 times.
I know. Oh, my gosh.
Recently.
I'm going to guess it was like that 08, 09, 2007, 2008 time frame.
Okay. Anybody else? You got anybody else in the radar there that you can remember?
Not off the top. Not recently.
Okay.
Nobody's sticking out in my head recently as having gone to a Super Bowl and then immediately lost it and then immediately come back and won it.
That's right. You're
The
right.
next year.
You're right in saying that nobody has done that recently.
Yeah.
That is absolutely correct. So we'll save that rest of that for the end.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Chiefs Niners. You called it. You picked the Chiefs. And the score was even really pretty close to what you actually predicted. But that's
Yeah.
We knew this score was going to be about this, but it took overtime actually to get to this point because it was 19-19 at the end of regulation. Anyway, Chiefs end up winning 25-22. And you said, don't bet against the Chiefs because they're the champs until somebody beats them. You can't bet against them.
Right.
But for all the world, let's be honest. Did you not feel like the Niners were the better team and just couldn't quite pull the trigger, put the stomp on it somehow?
No.
You didn't feel like that?
No. The 49ers are a very good team, but I will never sit here and say they're better than the Chiefs, no matter how many all-stars you have on your roster. Like, they're great on paper, but when you see them, they look slightly dished. I mean, finish a drive.
Yeah,
Point. Finish a
that
drive.
was a problem.
They couldn't do it. So it just, and I don't know. It just
Well,
I will never believe that anybody's better, like just straight up better than the Chiefs.
to be fair, the Chiefs weren't any better at finishing drives
No,
during
they
this game.
weren't. I mean,
So
they got a big break in the middle of it, and
yeah,
they got help from the 49ers in overtime.
that's
So
and that's the thing. So Jawan Jennings becomes the second player in Super Bowl history to throw a touchdown and catch a touchdown in the same game. The other one was
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, correct? So he's the first non-quarterback to do that, which makes him. I mean, that's a amazing stat, right? Um,
That's
the
actually a great point.
the pass that he threw to Christian McCaffrey hung in the air. Now,
Forever.
to be fair, it was probably a 35-yard pass or 40-yard pass. That ball traveled a long ways because he was rolling left, turn, and throwing it all the way back to the right, and the field's 52 yards wide. So it probably went 35 yards in the air, which is not a lot for a quarterback, but it's a lot for a wide receiver. And he had to kind of chuck it and get rid of it. He's about to get pummeled. And it just so happened, there's Christian McCaffrey, and he goes untouched once he catches it in the end zone. It was a great play at the time, right? And it put him up 10-0. And at that point in the second quarter, I felt pretty good about the Niners. I was like, yep, they hadn't done much. They hadn't finished anything at that point until then. But at this point, neither had Kansas City. They hadn't done anything. And then, as is usual, they left 4 minutes on the clock, 4 minutes on the clock. And, Patrick Mahomes with 4 minutes is going to score something, right? He always does. And so they came down and kicked a field goal. It's 10-3. Third quarter comes out. Kansas City had the ball to start with, but they didn't. It was back and forth there to start the second half, right? Kansas City interception, San Francisco punt, Kansas City punt, San Francisco punt. Back and forth. No, nothing was happening. And next thing you know, field goal by Kansas City. And now it's 10-6, right? And then when Kansas City scored the touchdown later with 4 seconds left to go in the third, right, to Valdez-Scantling, who was wide open. Oh, my gosh. I mean, yeah. I don't know that I've seen a guy more open in a Super Bowl, just standing there. But anyway, next thing you know, Kansas City takes the lead, right? And at that point, you're like, okay, maybe, Kansas City's thing. But immediately, San Francisco takes 12 plays, 75 yards. They run down and they score. And I'm like, okay. And then there was the extra point, which might have been the deciding factor in the whole game, right? I mean, you make that, it's a different thing there because a field goal doesn't tie it at the end. You got to score a touchdown to win, right? You're making Kansas City have to make bigger decisions.
Right.
I don't know about you. So anyway, long story short, this goes down. The last possessions of the game are touchdown Kansas City, touchdown San Francisco, field goal Kansas City, field goal San Francisco, field goal Kansas City to make it 19-19. And then San Francisco has the ball with 3 seconds left. I don't know about you, but I'm throwing this ball downfield hoping for defensive pass interference. I am just going to chuck it deep. Why not? What do you got to lose? Right? If you get a defensive pass interference, you could get intercepted. He could run it back for a touchdown. That's all possible. You're absolutely right. I say chuck it.
Likelihood's not great.
Likelihood's not great. Chuck it down the field towards the sideline, right? So if it doesn't get caught, it goes out of bounds. See what happens. Yeah, take your chance. If you get a defensive pass interference, you get another play. Right?
Specifically, you need to be aiming to underthrow a receiver. Like you want him full sprint, trying to stop and come back to it because that's when people tend to grab
with a guy on his hip,
keep you from with a guy on his hip. Now if they're smart, which the Chiefs have one of the best coached defenses in the nation. Yeah. They're smart. They're not grabbing right there. Like even if you're in the field of play, you let them. The only time you're grabbing is if they're in the end zone.
Right.
And they have a chance to catch it and win. But if you're on the field of play and you know where you're at situationally, you let them catch it. Who cares? Yeah. If you can get back to it, good for you. Game's still over. But yeah, I agree with you. Do something. Try something.
Yeah. Kansas City or San Francisco had a couple of the fumble on the opening drive by Christian McCaffrey, which doesn't happen very often. But they were marching down the field. Kansas City was helpless, pretty much. I mean, yeah. So the plays literally their plays on that drive were rush for 6 yards, pass for 18 yards, pass for 11 yards, rush for 11 yards, Those are the first 4 plays, and then he fumbles the football on the 5th play of that drive, and they were already at the Kansas City 27-yard line, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, they were driving. They were going to score. That was a
they look
given.
good.
Yeah, and they looked great. And then it became punt, punt, punt. Anyway, but of course, Kansas City fumbled the ball too in the first half. And then you got an interception from Patrick Mahomes, which is uncharacteristic. That pass didn't look good. That was just a bad play. He was
It
getting
was strange. Yeah,
San Francisco did a really good job of containing him, and I think frustrating him up to that point, where he couldn't get outside and couldn't make plays happen.
yeah.
They were doing a very, very good job.
And that's what they can do with those edge rushers.
Yeah, exactly. And Bosa was doing a fantastic job of containing him rolling to his right. Up to that point, it didn't pan out later in the fourth quarter when they let him get away for a few yards rushing, which he made some big plays with his feet, and that was made them able to come back. But this whole game, and how do you feel if you're? Here's a question for you: how do you feel if you're Moody, the kicker for San Francisco, holding the Super Bowl record for longest field goal for all of how long?
A few minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like the Chiefs are just bullies for that one.
Yeah, he held on to it for I don't know a few minutes. It wasn't long. So, but I mean, those guys exchange, and Moody was a question mark, right? Because he had missed 3 field goal attempts in the last 4 games, and he's a rookie kicker, and what are you going to get out of him? And I thought he did a great job. The extra point was the problem. The one extra point that he mishit it, and that could have been the difference. I mean, if you have a 4-point lead, it's huge compared to the 3-point lead, right? So, anyway, I thought the game was well played. I thought there was a lot of things. Then there was the Ray McLeod punt thing.
The snafu.
That when you looked at it in full time, I'm like, why is he doing that? Why is he picking it up? And it took a replay for me to realize it hit the guy's foot.
Feeling really good about this, saw it immediately. I yelled from the back of our room. I think we had like 6 or 7 people over. I yelled from the back of the room, like, "Oh, it touched someone!" And everyone was like, "No, it didn't. He just muffed it. No, it didn't. And as soon as they pulled the replay, I'm like, "You see?" I was like, "It barely clipped him."
Yeah.
I shouted it from the back of the room because I was so excited by it.
Yeah, it was a big play in the game. I mean, you
set Kansas City up in good position.
Yeah, that was a big play. There were a lot of things. I think more than Kansas City won this game, San Francisco lost this game with that play, with that issue, the McCaffrey fumble. I think that Kansas City, if San Francisco comes out and scores on that first drive, and this doesn't turn into a turnover, putting Kansas City in good field position, it's a different football game, and they make that one extra point, right? You're talking about how does Kansas City overcome that? Because
but by that same token, you also had the Chiefs who were marching down the field and then fumbled the ball. Like they gave away a possession there that led to
that's true.
That like both teams had I don't feel like one person more than the other was particularly worse or better. Actually that's not true. I feel like the Chiefs were better because they know how to play with pressure better.
Maybe
they always seem to have, but I mean, they gave away 2 turnovers. The Chiefs had 2 turnovers. The what's it called? The 49ers had 1 turnover, 2 including the punt.
2.
So 2 turnovers. So it was a wash in turnovers. It was a weird paced game with some weird turnovers at weird times. I did not expect Christian McCaffrey to fumble on the first drive. I definitely didn't expect that muffed, that punt situation later. I did not expect Patrick Mahomes to throw a pick when he did. Just weird stuff kept happening.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the 49ers had the lead with, there was 19-16, and then it was 19-19. It was a tie game. They had a chance to, not much time, but,
Well, the punt muff led to the touchdown in the second half for Kansas City, and that led to them taking the lead. That's why I say if they catch the ball, they don't turn it over, and they put any kind of a drive, 1 first down even, together, it nullifies the touchdown, basically, from Kansas City. Not saying they wouldn't have scored on the next possession, but what I'm saying is it's much harder to score from your own 30 than it is to score from the other team's 8-yard line. So, or wherever it was they set up.
But they had their chances is the thing.
They did. They
The
did.
49ers had it was 16-13 49ers. The Chiefs go down the field and kick a field goal, the longest ever in history. Um, Actually, I think that one was the shorter one.
It was.
Um, but then they start marching down the field and then get stalled up and end up
Right.
kicking a field goal themselves. You score a touchdown on that drive. You put so much pressure on Kansas City to score a touchdown. Not that they wouldn't have, because we all know that they can when they want to.
Right.
So it's tough. I don't feel like the 49ers are better. George Kittle ghosted everyone
Yeah.
for a game.
That's true.
And maybe he was just getting blanketed by good coverage. I feel like that kind of diminishes the Chiefs' defense a little bit. But, I mean, Christian McCaffrey had a decent game, but you needed a receiver to step up. And Juwan Jennings did great.
Yeah.
What you were asking him to do.
Right.
Christian McCaffrey was your leading receiver.
In yardage, yeah.
And that's because I think of that one. No, that one throw was backwards.
It was, well, but he gets credit. I don't know what he gets credit for. He gets credit for receiving yards, doesn't he? I don't know how that works, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Juwan Jennings had one throw for 21 yards. Okay, so yeah, that does
20
count in
21 yards
Christian
receiving, yeah.
Christian Caffrey's longest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but yeah, it's like it kind of was a wash, Total yardage, both teams. I mean, a slight edge to Kansas City, but it was a wash.
Yeah, I guess, it was a good football game with two fairly evenly matched teams, let's be honest.
Yeah.
First downs, 24-23 Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Third down efficiency, the Chiefs were in a lot more third downs. The Niners were not necessarily good on third down, 3 of 12. The Chiefs were 9 of 19, but that just is that the San Francisco defense had Kansas City in third down more often. But
I'm curious if their third downs were longer or something like that.
I don't know what the numbers, that doesn't really show that here. You'd have to go back through and look, but total play is almost the same. The yards are Kansas City's favor by about 70, but 13 drives each team.
Yeah.
Right. Yards per play is about the same. So almost everything was the same. Penalties, six penalties each team, 2 turnovers each team. Time of possession was 38-36 San Francisco. So, I mean,
did you like the way the game was officiated? You felt like they swallowed the whistle sometimes.
I feel like it was fair in that it was even.
It's like they weren't calling holding on like anyone.
They didn't call all the penalties that you saw, and especially there were some big moments where there were penalties for both teams that you just saw them and you go, whoa. But if you're not calling it either way, then I guess it's fair, right?
Yeah.
It just was differently officiated than like the regular season games or other games that we've seen. So that was kind of weird. And how do you do that how do you adjust to that as a player? Oh, they're not calling that? Well, all right, I'll just tackle the guy, right? I don't know. I don't know how you do it, but on the fly, it's hard to adjust if you've played 17 games plus a couple playoff games and they've been officiated this way, and then all of a sudden this one's a different way. It's hard for you to adjust your playing style to that because you're in the habit of doing whatever it is you do. Here's what I like to know. Allegiant Stadium holds I don't know what the max is, like 60-something thousand people, right? And then they said at the beginning of the game, but there's going to be 70,000 people in here. I'm like, wait a minute. So your maximum capacity is only your maximum capacity if that's all the people you can put in. If you can squeeze another 7,000 people in here, it is not at maximum capacity.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know how they did that or what they did, but that was an interesting side note that I heard when I heard him say it. And I'm like, your maximum capacity literally means the limit. So obviously you weren't at the limit if you could squeeze more people in. So I don't know how they did that, if they built more structures or boxes or platforms or standing room only, or I don't know what they did, but it
happens all the time. Like the Ducks' biggest sellout was 66 or 68,000 people. Official capacity is 59,000.
Yeah.
Okay, where did the other 10,000 people go?
The official attendance at the game was 61,000. So I don't know what happened to the numbers that they threw out at the beginning, but I don't know. Anyway, I just know it's cost prohibitive for you and I to go watch the Super Bowl unless you save up all your money, for the last 5 years.
Or unless it happens in a city where someone who already lives there.
That's true.
And you can cut out on your housing stuff and you just work on
that's true.
The cost of the game. So
there's that. That's true.
I feel like the big foul penalty that people were complaining about from this one, just kind of kick back at this, is people were saying there was an illegal downfield blocker
on the touchdown for McCaffrey.
On the touchdown. That's like the big one that all the 49ers fans are holding on. But no one seems to understand what illegal, ineligible man downfield or what that is.
Right.
If you engage in a block and you are pushing someone, you can push them for 60 yards downfield.
Right.
As long as you stay engaged in your block. If you
Right.
lose your block and are downfield and then try and re-engage, that's a penalty. Or if you don't have a block and you keep moving that way, that's a penalty. There's no penalty here. People are just, I don't know. People got really upset. You can find a penalty on all the time.
You can every play,
but it's so soft. It's
yeah.
so soft.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. I thought it was there were mistakes by both teams, but it was well played. You had a couple of long field goal attempts. That was exciting.
You had 5 or 6 touchdowns over the course of the whole game.
The extra point, the missed extra point added drama. You know, I knew when the mixed extra point happened that it was only a 3-point game, that was something easy for Kansas City to go get 3 points. You know what I mean? I was like,
right. So how about this? You had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 field goals, 4 turnovers, and a handful of punts sprinkled throughout. This is the kind of balance you want in a football game. It's a little low scoring, like maybe 1 or 2 more of these punts could be touchdowns.
Right.
But this is a decent game to watch. You feel engaged the whole time. There's drama enough to keep it going. There's injuries. The Dre Greenlaw injury.
The Dre Greenlaw injury. I mean, I don't know how you tear your Achilles on the sideline trying to come in. He looked like he tried to go in and then came back, and I don't know if he hopped on it or just I don't know what happened.
So the way he injured it is exactly how I tore mine. It's that motion where you're airborne, like you jump up in the air, and as you jump up, you kick your foot back to like get like a push like right off the land, and you don't allow your foot to fully plant in the ground, so there's space between your heel and the ground, and then you're trying to force energy up while your gravity and your body weight are coming down. I watched it happen around all these doctors, which is a fun thing. Everyone around me was a doctor. Like, what happened? And I'm like, I know. It's like I could see it.
Right.
And they showed it again. I'm like, yeah, it's an Achilles tear. Watch this. He goes in, he steps back, he does this hop, and then he does this like little lunge position. And that's when it happens. I was like, and I've been there. And Fred Warner immediately knew, and everyone immediately knew.
Yeah, the injury was a big deal. I mean,
yeah, that's huge.
That's huge.
That's a great player.
Yeah, I didn't like that had an effect on the game, because I think that the ability of Patrick Mahomes to run at that point, they exploited the middle of the field where Dre Greenlaw would have been.
Did it happen? Like, when did it happen in the game?
Yeah, it was early second half. Is that right?
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll get you the time.
So it wasn't like super early in the game. It was a little later in the game.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like right at the beginning. It was second quarter. It was second quarter. So yeah,
that's still pretty early. Yeah, that's still pretty impactful.
It was literally 9:26 left in the second quarter. So I guess it was only 20 minutes in the game. Yeah. So that's a long time to be out without one of your best defensive players.
Yeah, and he was already at 3 tackles on the game, so he was already making moves when he went out.
Did you watch? And I was fairly impressed with a couple of different players. Diamador Lenore, former Oregon Duck,
a couple good Ducks
forced
out
a fumble and made some great plays on the edge. That was good to see. The whole Chiefs secondary was smothering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
San Francisco didn't seem
room.
There was very little. I mean, when they played a zone, Purdy found a hole, but when they played man or when they played a combo, there was no room. There was just nowhere to throw the football. Their whole secondary was amazing, minus the L'Jarius Sneed roughing penalty or personal foul penalty. That was like the only mistake that they made as a secondary, to be honest. So it was a good game. I don't know. Did you watch the whole game? I'm assuming.
Whole game.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the game as a whole?
Yes.
Okay.
It was very enjoyable, and it was fun to not have a dog in the fight. Technically, I do, because I don't want the Chiefs to have more titles, But I
Right.
feel like the longer this goes for them, the harder their collapse is going to be, i.e., Patriots, right? Like the Patriots are in for
Right.
10 years of misery now
Yeah,
after
probably.
being successful for so long. The Chiefs have a similar thing where, Isaiah Pacheco is going to want to get paid soon.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice is going to want to get
Oh
paid
yeah.
soon. You got all these guys, and then on the flip side, Nick Bolton deserves a raise after the season he had. Justin Reed deserves a raise after the season he had. So you have a lot of guys who are going to need more money, and the more titles, the harder it is to keep that team together. I don't think Andy Reid is quite the Bill Belichick type where he can constantly convince people to take pay cuts.
Right.
Also, I think that time is kind of gone.
Yep.
Like I think he was able to kind of capitalize on a transitional market and time in the NFL, and I think that's gone. I think guys want to get paid now. So,
and we had the two game disruptions, which were I don't want to say streaker related, but at least
I can't even
half a
call him a
streaker.
streaker.
No, he's half streaking. This guy.
If you don't have a blurred out space
yeah
on your video
on your genitals,
then you are not
No,
streaking.
you didn't do it right.
It's you had pants on, man.
Yeah, you can't. And
how you went to the beach?
How much money did that cost you to do whatever it is you decided you wanted to do? How much to get that ticket to get into the game, and then you decided to waste it by running onto the field? They're not going to show you because they don't do that anymore. Thank goodness someone took a picture and we can get a picture, but I don't know.
All right, so it is a criminal trespass, Class B misdemeanor, punished by up to 180 days in jail and a maximum $2,000 fine.
Mm-hmm.
Disorderly conduct could be topped on there if you're drunk. Class C misdemeanor, punishable by up to maximum of a fine of $500. So $2,500 is the maximum that you can have to pay for this, but you could spend $180 in jail if
180 days, yeah. But also, what'd you pay for the ticket to get in? So there's that cost too, right?
Well, that's a different story. Well, the Las Vegas Super Bowl streaker says he paid $42,000 to go to jail. Is what he said. So
that's a lot of money to pay to go.
But he posts this a couple days later, so he's clearly out of jail.
Right. No, I mean you're not gonna. It's a misdemeanor. You're not gonna stay in. But
he bought 2 Super Bowl tickets for $42,853.98 to sit in the first row of Section 128 of Allegiant Stadium.
So
Gonzalez,
he could jump on the field.
He's only got 446,000 Instagram followers. That's it.
Is that all?
I mean,
change.
It is when he got nothing else. But
he has
we're
more now.
We're gonna keep
probably.
an eye on him because their court dates are currently set for April 17th.
He has more now, probably followers.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Let's talk about this. The talk has been all postseason about how often they show Taylor Swift, and it really hasn't been that much, as you pointed out earlier on one of the shows, right? It really hasn't been
like
much.
It was like 50 seconds a game or something like that, total of 5 minutes on the air.
But in this game, there was a lot. She was on there on every Travis Kelce catch, on a touchdown. There was at least 6 or 7, maybe 8 times they were showing her, and I'm like, they went a little overboard in the Super Bowl compared to the other games. And I don't know if that's just from having the new. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you can say that okay, the NFL is loving that fact that she brings in younger women viewers, right? Because that's what she's doing. And that's great for the NFL. So let's show her as much as possible, and let's make sure that her boyfriend wins, so that it carries over into next year. If they lose this game, there's a chance that some of those followers don't follow football next year. I mean, there's a chance, but I'm just saying. I don't know. That's I'm not that far gone into the conspiracy to say that, but what I'm saying is they showed her a lot more in this game than they have in previous games.
Well, here's the official count for the game.
Yeah.
54 seconds.
Okay.
0.36% of the entire broadcast was spent showing Taylor Swift. These are 2, 3 second, 4 second cutaways.
Yep.
So a bunch of cutaways, right?
Yeah.
But it still is on par with how much she's been shown all year.
Is it on par with how much they showed every other fan?
Absolutely not. She's not every other fan. She's the biggest.
Why is she not every other fan?
If the Queen of England, because she's
okay. Hold on. Okay, back up.
If the Queen of England was here, she'd be shown a bunch of times. They showed Roger Goodell 5 or 6 different times.
How many?
We don't need to see him.
How many times they showed Jay-Z?
3 or 4.
Maybe twice.
5.
Maybe twice. I think they showed him once
because Beyonce was there with him.
Right. They showed him like twice. Okay. So the amount of time Jay-Z was on TV is not comparative to Taylor Swift. The amount any other star that was at this game is not comparative to Taylor Swift. She got way more coverage than any other star that was at this game. She did.
Yeah.
Okay, but why?
She's the only one dating a player on the field.
But it doesn't matter. She's not any different just because she's dating someone on the. There's other people in this crowd dating players on the field. There are other women in this crowd dating players on the field.
Are they the biggest star in the world?
Right. That's where the conspiracy comes in. Because why are we showing her? Because we think we can gain something from showing her, not showing these other people.
Absolutely.
But that's not okay.
It's a business.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
it has nothing to do with football.
It's perfectly, but it also didn't impact or disrupt the flow of your football.
It did. Because I don't want to watch that. I don't want to see that.
Then
show a regular fan. Show a regular fan who paid his life savings to get that one ticket. Show him instead of her. I don't care about her. She can afford to go to every damn game. I don't care.
That's the same argument I have with giving children
right.
Memorabilia. They didn't do anything to earn it. Somebody else paid for the ticket. Somebody else brought them here. Why can't that guy have a bat or a ball? Why does the kid get it? Absolutely. But that's not the way the world works, unfortunately. Yeah, by fun proximity, they showed Blake Lively for 51 seconds.
Well, she was with her.
Hey, but they showed her for 51 seconds.
They showed her with her.
Soul is complaining about Blake Lively
because the first time she was with her this year.
No, it's actually the third time.
Oh well, they don't show her nearly as much. They were at a
Chiefs game earlier this year, but with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney.
And that's different too.
By the way, Taylor Swift averages 25 seconds on the year. I was wrong. I thought it was 50.
She averages more than any other fan in football. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but she's not an average fan, and she is in your normal broad sense, but she's just not. I mean, if they can gain, what did it say? They were 11% in viewership age 12 to 17. They were up 25% in viewership age 18 to 26 in the female demographic.
Yeah.
Why do you not want more eyes on it? And all it costs you is a little male aggression and 0.36% of a game airtime. That's all it costs, and you just gained millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I get it. It makes perfect sense. It does nothing to the game. It just disrupts people's mental state on the game.
All it does, though, is raise questions like I'm asking.
But she doesn't have to do anything. She just stands there. She just celebrates and drinks. This is the NFL. Your problem isn't with Taylor Swift. Your problem's with the NFL.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I'm not faulting her for being there.
But if they would have showed
she didn't put the camera on herself.
But see, here's the problem. That they would have showed Jay-Z 20 times, 1 minute of the game.
Yeah.
Crickets. They would have showed the Queen of England for a minute of the game. Crickets. If they would have shown Ryan Reynolds for a minute of the game.
Was the Queen at
Crickets. No, she's clearly she's not able to go. She has time constraints.
Yeah.
But
there's that.
My point
is, the king has cancer now, so there's that. Yeah.
People are so over Swifted
because
the Eras tour was it's the biggest concert tour in concert history.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, it's not even close. The Beatles, the Stones, not even close. This woman made $1 billion in a summer. The Beatles didn't make $1 billion selling their catalog for the whole duration that all of them were alive. Right? Meaning not currently still alive, but like when all four were alive. They didn't make $1 billion. They didn't even come close. They didn't even whiff it. And that's with inflation. Nothing has come
What I'm saying.
Nothing has come close to what Taylor Swift has done this year. And then she attached herself to Travis Kelce, who had the biggest podcast in the U.S. last year before he started dating Taylor Swift.
I get it.
She attached herself to a superstar on a team that people already love to hate, and it made it that much easier to just keep on hating.
But
it's all smart.
It just seems as as I heard in Jurassic Park at one point in time, I'm always on the lookout for a future ex Mrs. Malcolm. And she's always on the lookout for an ex-boyfriend. Am I wrong? Because she hasn't married any of them, right? But she's had a lot of boyfriends, and this one's also famous. They're all famous. They're always famous. She doesn't date nobody, right? She dates a famous guy, and this is her next famous guy. So how soon before he's the ex, and we don't have her in the NFL anymore? That's the question. And there's bad blood.
Maybe next week. Who cares?
No, what I'm getting at
is
that
we spent. It doesn't ultimately matter.
It kind of does.
We spent a season watching.
If you're going to spend the kind of time and effort to encourage her fans to be fans of the NFL, right? Because you're going to show her more often than you show anybody else that's there at the attending the game, right? If you're going to show her more often than anybody else, and you're going to spend that kind of time and money to encourage her fans to be NFL football fans, just be ready for the letdown when she stops being an NFL fan because they break up. Because she's never stayed with anybody at this point. I mean, why would you expect them to? And so, what happens at that point? Will we still see Taylor Swift? Will it be like, oh, here's Travis Kelce
Are
catching a
you
pass?
invested in Taylor Swift's love life and how it might negatively impact the NFL
Yeah,
after criticizing
absolutely.
how her love life positively impacted the NFL?
Why would you go on? Why would you?
What I'm saying is, sense. You're arguing both sides. Like, oh, they can't break up now because it could hurt us.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're Travis Kelce, why would you go out with someone who's broken up with every boyfriend she's had? Would you?
I mean, you have to go out with somebody at some time.
Do you? It doesn't have to be her. I mean, you don't have to pick someone. Would you pick someone? Okay. Would you pick someone to marry who's been married 5 times? Asking you.
I mean, has Taylor Swift been married 5 times?
No. What I'm getting at is there's a common denominator, and it's you.
Right, which is that you've both engaged in a legal proceeding and then disengaged from the same legal proceeding using another legal proceeding. That's what a marriage and divorce is. This is just dating.
With 5 different people.
This is just dating.
What I'm getting at is if you engage in dates, if you engage in dating, serious dating, this is serious at this point. I mean, they're kissing on national television after the Super Bowl. This is a serious relationship, right? Clearly. If you're in a serious relationship this many times with this many guys and they all end and you aren't married to one of them or you aren't still dating one of them, that's you. That's you. It's not them. It can't possibly be all of those guys. It's you.
Sure.
Okay, so you're the problem. Would you date someone like that? That's my question to you. Regardless of whether it's Taylor Swift or not.
I legitimately don't think of it that way. Like, the point is, how are you presenting now? How are you now? Like, what are we talking about now? Because she was in a 2016 to 2023 was her last relationship.
Okay.
She just came off of we're talking about this, by the way. This is important to know.
I know.
She just came off a 7-year relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
That didn't go anywhere.
It's not like
it was 7 years wasted from that guy. Wasted.
I mean, but you could say that after a 40-year marriage ends in divorce, right? Wasted 40 years.
You can, but if you were married for 40 years, the odds of you having dated or having married someone who's been married 10 times or 6 times or dated 27 other guys prior to that is slim because 40 years is a long time. That's different than you dating someone. 7 years is probably the longest relationship she's been in.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
but she still ends all of them. She's not dating that guy anymore. So why would you get invested in that is my question. Why would you invest yourself into something that you know is going to end? Oh, it's not going to end. It's going to be different with me. Oh, come on. Anyway.
Well, it's always eventually different with someone, right? Or they
it's not always
or they die alone later on. And guess what? You'll get your heart broken. We'll all become bigger Travis Kelce fans. Boo fucking who. And then we'll move on to and Taylor Swift will fade out of sight, and then you'll get your 54 seconds of airtime back. You missed plays of this game looking to your left or right. Like, you probably missed 5 minutes of the game just not paying attention or looking down or looking to your left or right. But 54 seconds of spattered airtime is a crisis. I missed a drive going to the bathroom.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is,
my point is,
there are other people we could focus on. There's other people at the game you could have put on the TV, but you didn't. You chose this.
They put most of the people on the TV.
Briefly. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely briefly.
But again, no one of note, and the key here is of note. And who decides what's of note? Well, let's just say the internet does. All right, it's not Joe Schmo or whatever. They showed Kristen Juszczyk like 20 times.
Okay.
Again, short bursts, but they showed her a whole bunch.
Okay.
Hell, I had to listen to a whole thing about.
Do you know why they showed her?
About her because she makes jackets.
There
and she
you
from the
go.
Blah 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 blah.
She's related to Taylor Swift.
Kristen Juszczyk is not related to Taylor Swift.
In that she made a jacket for her. Absolutely, she's related to her.
Right, but that's just it. These are all just stars orbiting Taylor Swift's planet.
What I'm
these
getting
are all
at
just
is
moons orbiting her. They're not independent people, and unfortunately, Beyonce doesn't have the global impact at the moment that Taylor Swift does. Jay-Z does not.
Fine.
Ryan Reynolds does. Well, actually, Ryan Reynolds might, but for
might.
a whole different reason.
Yeah.
So it's just no one is doing.
I get
what
it.
she's doing, and this is a meteorite.
Okay.
This doesn't happen.
I get it. I understand what you're saying.
People aren't, and that goes for the Chiefs too. Success like this, both the Chiefs and Taylor Swift, is unusual. So it's hard to sit there and say, hey, there's a star streaking across the sky. I've seen one before. I'm good.
I have.
No, you're gonna look at it.
Maybe.
You're gonna watch it streak
For a
and then when
second.
it disappears, you go, "That was cool."
For a
And then you're
second.
gonna move on with your life, and that's
Yeah.
what we're gonna do with Taylor Swift. Next
Agreed.
year, she'll be on the TV for 0.12 seconds or
Maybe.
1.2% of the whole season, and people will still throw a fit about, but
If
she'll be
there's
on
still
for
a
much
thing.
less.
Yeah.
I see no reason to believe that they won't be, but I saw no
Nobody
reason to believe
nobody
after
sees it
7
until it
years.
happens. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but that's an obvious thing, right? Every relationship is perfect until it's broken up,
That's true.
or
That's correct.
is good until it isn't good.
And my point is, by showing Kristen Juszczyk, you're showing Taylor Swift. That's my point. The only reason you're showing her is because she made a jacket for Taylor Swift, and that's the thing, right? That's why she's famous now. Not because before you might have shown her once before this season, but until you realize that she did this for Taylor Swift, now she's a celebrity. You show her more often, so she's only there because of Taylor Swift. So when you show her for her 3 seconds, you got to add that to Taylor Swift's time. That's what I'm getting at. Everybody who's there related to Taylor Swift adjacent. The reason you showed, what's her name in the box? Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively. The reason you show her because she's there with Taylor Swift. The reason you're showing Juszczyk because she's adjacent to Taylor Swift. That's what I'm getting at. It's not just the 54 seconds of Taylor Swift time. It's all the other people's times too. Those add to whatever the total is. The only reason you're doing that is because of her. And only reason you're doing that is because she's dating Travis Kelce, because you didn't show her last year. She was nothing to the NFL last year. But now she's a thing. That's what I'm getting at. I don't like that. That's the part
So
I don't like.
here's your bigger complaint, though. They need to stop showing Jason Kelce.
Travis Kelce, yeah. Jason Kelce.
No,
I don't mind Jason. Jason's
Kelce.
fine.
No,
He's an NFL player still.
He's irrelevant in the game. He has nothing to do with the Super Bowl.
Right.
He's just some average Joe fan.
How much did
right?
they show him?
1 minute and 30 seconds. He was on screen for 36
brother,
seconds more than Taylor Swift,
Sure.
including cut times with Taylor Swift. But they showed him like 10 times before the game. I had to see Mama Kelce for a full year.
I think Joe Montana was on TV more than Taylor Swift.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, they did show him a lot.
You know why? Because he played for both teams.
They showed all those 49ers guys.
Joe Montana played for both teams. So that's,
but also,
that's why.
They had a good little deal there. They could just pan up to the owner's box, and you could see Goodell, Swift, and Kelce all in one shot.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah,
all the power is right there. Boom.
Yeah, and then you don't have to do a bunch of cuts. You just go one cut.
That's true. That's a good point. It's just, there's I don't know. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I know why you're doing it in NFL. I get it. I understand.
It's obvious. We all get it.
It's just unnecessary. That's all. There's other people that are at this game that you could have shown.
If we were losing game time,
I'm not worried about that.
No, this is. I'm telling you, this is my concern.
Oh.
If I lost game time or legitimate commentary because Taylor Swift was the center of focus for a moment, and it cost me, seeing a play, or it cost me, the commentators couldn't get off talking about her for a second, and they didn't properly analyze the play. If that's what's happening, I don't like it. I really don't. I don't care if it's her or Jack Nicholson or whatever other celebrity loves to attend sporting events. I do not care. I don't want it to interrupt the game.
Right.
However, as soon as the ball goes down, they show all sorts of garbage.
They do.
All sorts of
a
garbage.
Lot of garbage. Yeah.
They won't show a streaker, but they'll show, Taylor Swift, right?
Same thing.
Hey, by the way, I think that was a little chunk of like her time. I think it was like a 10-second chunk.
Went during the streak?
During one of the streakers.
Yeah.
The other streaker was fast and was like off the
field. Yeah, he was in and out.
Or whatever. But the one, they actually had to like stop play for a second. And so I think that was a big chunk of it. But regardless, like that's my thing is as long as you're not affecting the flow of the game,
okay, I
could care less. Show me Jay-Z 50 times. When Donald Trump went to that Cowboy game, he was on screen for almost 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Talking to Jerry Jones, talking to Roger Goodell.
Right.
The president's at the game. Woohoo. He's not a bigger star than Taylor Swift.
No, for sure.
He does not make as much money as Taylor Swift. He definitely isn't he's definitely a bigger piece of crap. That's for sure, even with his dating history.
He's probably lost more money than Taylor Swift has.
Oh, no way. Do we think that Taylor Swift net worth over her life, she's made more than Donald Trump?
Oh, I'm sure she has, because Donald Trump has bankrupted everything he's owned.
That's true. Donald Trump just spends. He doesn't make.
Yeah, he doesn't make.
He buys with a loan and then loses.
Yeah, he's bankrupted. The man bankrupted a casino. Okay,
Those are supposed to be foolproof.
it is hard to bankrupt a casino. I'm just saying.
You're spending too much money on people, man.
I don't understand that one. That one's weird, right? And yeah,
Mhm.
I don't even know who Jeffrey Epstein is. Anyway, there's that.
Exactly.
We're
But yeah,
not political.
there are lots of people that they could show. I do agree with you. It'd be
Yeah.
cool to have like
show
a normal fan cam,
show a
but they
regular
do
fan.
that during the game.
Sometimes.
Kiss cams, dance cams, like they do that
that's
all
in
sorts
stadium,
during
but they
the
don't
game.
show that on the TV broadcast.
Well,
they show
that's
that in
but
stadium
that's
stuff.
that's not our fault, right?
Well, what I'm saying is I can't see that at home when I'm watching the TV broadcast. I only see what the TV shows me. They don't show me the kiss cam. Show me the kiss cam. Why not? That's okay.
One of my favorite things about watching Winterhawks games online is that there's no commercials, but there are still breaks in play.
Right.
So you get to watch whatever the cam in the stadium is doing.
If you've ever watched ESPN Plus's coverage of soccer, right?
Yes.
Like we watch Bayern Munich all the time here, right? It's your mom's team. So we watch Bayern Munich play. And at the halftime, right, which is 20 minutes long, right? There's nothing but replay of highlights from the first half. And there's no commentary and there's no nothing. It's just highlights. And it's the same highlights over like 40 times because it's only like 2 minutes worth of highlights. And so they just keep showing it over and over and over again. I'm like, I prefer the commercials, honestly.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm like, I would love to have a commercial, but there is no commercial. So, I mean, it's nice to have a no commercial. I like that soccer doesn't have commercials, right, during play. I like that. I wish that there could be more like that, but there's too much money to be made. So,
but these sorts of events, they're superstar magnets anyways.
They are.
And then you can find a little bit of a way to, show X person a little more and
take one of them.
And you gain $2 million in the process. So be it, right?
Yeah.
If anything expands the brand. And I'll be honest with you, if this helps more girls get into football and they stick with it, because let's assume female viewership total is up 40%. Let's say half of that goes away. So that remaining 20%. Half of it goes away with the if that remaining 20% is smarter, more knowledgeable, more understanding football base, I'm okay with it because it makes the world a better place when we all understand what's happening.
It does. I'm a believer that the NFL is missing an opportunity. Why doesn't the NFL on their broadcasts, CBS or Fox or NBC, whoever, ESPN, doesn't matter who's doing it, but before the games, in the pregame stuff, why don't they come out and do, hey, here's today's episode of Football 101. Right?
Oh, that's funny.
And cover offensive holding today.
Well,
today
because
is
then,
offensive holding.
Then you're going to get into the way of Rob Gronkowski's airtime.
Hold on. Let's let Rob Gronkowski talk about it.
Oh, I don't want Rob.
Whatever.
I want
whoever.
Tony Romo.
Yeah, you want Tony. No,
but he's doing the broadcast.
But whoever. But you get somebody. Get Ryan Reynolds to come do it for all I care.
Actually, I do like that because they explain like the Wrexham stuff, and if they do like backgrounds or stories, it always is very like fun and
get somebody famous to come on and do Football 101. Hey, today we're talking about offensive holding. Tomorrow we're going to talk about what a lateral is as opposed to a forward pass. You know what I mean?
Tom Brady is going to explain the tuck rule.
Today, right? Tom Brady's going to explain what the maximum inflation pressure of a football is. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. So let's talk about the festivities. There's other things. Here's my first question about festivities.
I know. I knew you were going to go here. We all said it.
Is a flyover over an indoor stadium necessary? And who saw it other than people on the strip, obviously, right? And the fireworks.
I was going to say, there's a lot of people that saw
the fireworks outside the stadium. I'm like, that's great. Who's watching that? Nobody at the game because they can't see it.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird, right? So it felt awkward. Post Malone, America the Beautiful. I was indifferent. It was not bad. It was just, and it was acoustic. I kind of liked that, but it was, and he didn't sing it badly. He doesn't have a bad voice. It just was.
He does a lot of vibrato in his voice that I'm not a huge fan of.
I don't need America the Beautiful before the game. Do you?
Just the same way that you're about to lead into, you don't need the other, what's it called? Lift Every Voice.
I don't need that either.
Any of them.
No, I don't need.
I'll be honest with you. I don't need the national anthem either. I don't need any of them. I know where the hell I live.
I don't want to sound un-American, but I don't need the national anthem. And not every one of those players or every one of those fans is from America. I know we're having it in America, but we're not doing all their national anthems, right? So come on. Although, if we had a Canadian team in here, we would do the Canadian national anthem, even though 90% of those players are from Europe, right? For in the NHL. So I don't
Yeah.
understand how they determine it. But America the Beautiful, I can do without. And the only time you hear it or see it broadcast is the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Which is dumb. So we don't need it. It's unnecessary. It just adds to that 5 hour pregame show.
Right.
Reba sang the national anthem. It was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular. She did it okay, and I feel like it was. I'm happy that it wasn't over the top. I don't know what her time was. There was like an over under on her time, right? But I'm sure she was long, but not much because it actually went pretty quickly. Um, I don't know what her overall time was. I
She
don't know.
sounded too quiet for me.
Yeah, it was. She didn't overpower it, which is okay with me. I'm all right with that. But it was interesting.
She went over. She
Oh
went
yeah.
over the 90.5.
How much was she? Did it
I
say?
don't.
What was her time?
I cannot see.
Anyway.
Yeah, 1 minute and 34 seconds.
Okay, so not much
So,
over 90.
yeah, not much over. She was almost there, but
Yeah,
still
she's
over.
right on. And it's a short up tempo number, people. So just remember that. It's supposed to be short and up tempo. It's not supposed to be this long drawn out warbly song. So but you could hear the twang in her voice.
It's a poem.
It is, but it's not.
It's a poem that was made into a
the,
song.
the music is not supposed to be that slow. It's not. It is fast. It's up tempo. It is supposed to last a certain period of time. It's not supposed to last 4 minutes. Aretha, I'm just saying. I'm pointing at you, who's still singing probably. So there's that. It was interesting. I mean, it was
The
okay.
original time signature of the Star Spangled Banner was a 6:4. It's more usually slow today to a 3:4.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. It's twice as fast as most people sing it.
Yeah, it's twice as fast as most
Yeah.
people sing it. So
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like 40 seconds.
It should. I mean, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. It should go that
Yeah.
fast, and it doesn't ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And as a former athlete, I mean high school athlete, it's true, but as an athlete, I can do without it. It's just wasted time that I got to sit there and listen to it, and I'm impatient. I'd rather go out and play. Let's go.
Right.
I'm sure all athletes feel that way. I don't want to sound un-American. I'm happy to be an American, but I don't have to have the national anthem played before every sporting event. I don't need it, so I can do with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was that, and then we got to the halftime show, right?
Yeah.
We had Usher at halftime, right, with his hockey gloves on, in his white outfit, right, and his his oh gosh, and I can't think of it. Mr. Cold Miser look here.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, yeah, kind of, right? And then Alicia Keys is out there, and he's sweating to death, right?
Yeah, have you ever seen him like do any of his live porn? He's always
I don't
pouring
understand
sweat.
how come there's so much sweat, right?
This sweaty guy.
I
He's
guess.
dancing.
I suppose he's moving around a lot. That's true, right? Alicia Keys is on there. Was on there playing the guitar. Fabulous guitarist. I thought they were both pretty good in this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought that was good. And then there was this. Once we got to right? Okay, first of all, I'm gonna give props first by saying the roller skating was pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's
right?
cool.
I was pretty impressed that he was able to roller skate and do all his thing. But of course, we did get Lil Jon. We did get Ludacris, right?
As we should.
As we should, if we're gonna sing and that was the closing number because everyone knows the song, right? Because all the words are basically yeah.
And you got Jermaine Dupri over here on the right in
right?
his weird little tuxedo.
It was a little short tuxedo thing. I mean, that was interesting.
Also, does Lil Jon look a little jacked to you? He looks like big. He looks like Big John.
A little bigger than Lil, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a little something going on there, but I mean, also he's a little older than when this song came out, right?
It's true.
So it might not all be muscle, but he definitely looks bigger. But Luda looks the same, except those gigantic boots that he wears all the time. What is that about? I don't know. Fashion. I don't know anything about fashion. I'm just saying. Because when I saw this and it came out, I knew there was something familiar about this. This outfit, this look, this whole thing that they put on, I knew there was something familiar about it.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute to realize that it was purple. This was the reason. Right?
I thought it was blue. Their outfit was blue.
Purple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can call it blue if you want, but that's borderline purple. So, anyway, I thought it looked more like Globo Gym than anything, right? So I thought maybe that's where they got the inspiration from, but I thought that was pretty funny. That it looked that similar. The halftime show was okay. It's not of the however many halftime shows they've had, it's probably in the middle somewhere. It's not great. It's not bad.
Yeah.
There's way better ones. There's way worse ones. So, yeah, it was the whole thing as a package. The America the Beautiful, the national anthem, the halftime show.
The entertainment package.
The entertainment package was mediocre at best. To me, that's all I'm saying. I didn't
Well,
nothing that
it's
happened made me say
my
wow.
problem is that it's mediocre because a half of it is unnecessary.
Well, that's true. But I mean,
right. So like the halftime show is 15 minutes long. It's actually I think it ends
yeah.
up being like 18 something,
Yeah.
give or take. But between America the Beautiful and Lift Every Voice and
Voice.
National Anthem,
Yeah.
between all of those things and the little air times in between and the applauses and the flyovers and stuff, that's probably like 15 minutes also.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't need any of that really. I thought Usher sounded good.
He sounded good.
He danced good.
He danced
I
good.
thought all of his guests sounded good.
He
and
did.
danced good. There was no real surprises
No.
or craziness, but it was efficient and effective at delivering nostalgia.
Yeah, other than and that's what it was supposed to do. Other than the roller skating, which actually made me go, "Wow, he can roller skate!" Because clearly
crap,
they're skating. The roller skating was the best part for me, honestly.
Somebody put up the movie Goldmember, where he comes out on the skates, and it's like this is Usher at the halftime show, and he's like spinning around.
Right? Yeah.
But it was good. I would say that I give it overall rating for Usher. I don't really want to grade the other ones, but overall rating for Usher, I'll give him like a 7.5 out of 10.
7. I was gonna say 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seven's right.
It's a solid C plus rating. Like good, you did everything we needed you to do, and it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Do we know who next year's is, or do they announce that later? I don't.
They will announce it like midway through the season next year.
That's too long.
We gotta wait.
I want to know ahead of time so I can make fun of it already. Anyway, so there was that, and then there was commercials, right?
Yes.
I recorded / watched all of the pregame. I was home all day. I watched all of the pregame stuff, literally. And I'm telling you this, other than a couple commercials, there was nothing in the pregame that made me think.
Yeah, the pregame was very light on commercials.
Oh, it was bad. They were showing the same 2 or 3 commercials over and over and over again, and I didn't like it. I was like, this is terrible. But when they got to the actual Super Bowl broadcast, and we saw things like Michael Cera with his Cera V.
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty funny. I mean, it's not the best one, I don't think. I'm going to ask you which one your favorite one was, but I'm going to show you a number of them because that was pretty funny. The Christopher Walken commercial was good. I liked that. He has to hear that all the time, everywhere he goes, I'm sure, right?
Well, hopefully not.
I bet he does, though. Then there's the Agent State Farm, Arnold, get to the choppa, neighbor, like a good neighbor. That was pretty funny because Arnold's a good sport. Yeah. He's a funny guy. We had the Pickle Babies, from E-Trade, which was, I don't know who they were playing, but it looked like Grant Hill.
Yeah, it looked like a celebrity.
It looked like Grant Hill and partner. I don't know who they were playing, but the commercial itself was meh, but it was okay, right? Or when he talks about saving for college because you just got schooled, and that was but that was pretty funny. But other than that, I mean, it was okay. I mean, I'm more partial to like when he first came out, the E-Trade baby, and he was throwing up while he was talking about investing. Which baby things, right? Makes you laugh. Yeah. We had Lionel Messi, right, in the Michelob Ultra commercial on the beach, which also was a double dip because you got Ted Lasso, right? And I'm okay with that. Anytime you got Ted Lasso in there, I'm okay with that. We had the Mountain Dew commercial with Aubrey Plaza and Nick Offerman on riding dragons, right? Which
having a blast,
which was pretty funny. I mean, the overall commercial was but once Nick Offerman came in, it jumped up like a couple notches, right?
Yeah.
Ken Jeong, right, with the Arby's commercial. Was it Popeyes? Popeyes Wings.
I think it was Popeyes. Popeyes Wings.
Yeah. It was okay. I was expecting more from it.
I'm a little over Ken Jeong anyway. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny, but I was expecting more from that commercial a little bit. This one threw me.
Paramount commercial.
Yeah, the Paramount commercial because I was with it, and then he takes off his, Patrick Stewart takes off his thing. He's got the football uniform on. It says Sir Patrick on the back and all that. That was where I lost it. I was like, oh, that's funny. That's really funny, right? And he's got, Hey Arnold over there with the football head, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
That
Now, not well, but he throws him, right? That was a pretty good commercial, I thought, at the end. It didn't start great. My favorite one had to be the Dunk Kings. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
pretty good.
let's be honest with you. The Boston boys are on there, Affleck and Damon and Tommy, touchdown Tommy over there. It was and J Lo, of course. You get J Lo too. It's amazing. And the fact that Matt Damon was over there saying the things that he was saying, it's really hard to be your friend, and saying, how about them donuts? I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
When I said I was do anything for you, this is the anything.
This is the anything. Those lines were Matt Damon was the star of that commercial,
Yeah.
and it was actually good. I actually liked that. Yeah, that was probably my favorite. The Gronkowski kick of destiny. He
Yeah.
missed. He missed again. Right. I don't know. It looked fake. The actual.
Well, it's because it was like recorded on like a cinematic
Yeah, it looked weird.
thing, but it was live apparently.
Yeah, it just
there are people who had like video footage of it.
it looked weird, right? It just
Yeah.
looked fake when he did it. And then that led me to the sad point, which was Carl Weathers passed away before the Super Bowl, which I'm gonna miss Apollo Creed. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I thought it was great that they had. I was thinking of when they first showed the commercial of him training, approaching Gronk about the kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh man, you've got all these rocky things you can do, right, to get him ready. And then he passes away, and I'm like, oh, it's just sad.
Bit of a bummer, yeah.
And there were some others I didn't even show on here. You had the Chris Pratt, Mr. Pringle.
It was all right.
Commercial. That was okay. You had the one with the M&M's commercial, which had Dan Marino and
Yep.
and company, Scarlett Johansson. That was a pretty good commercial. It wasn't great. You had the one with the Hellman's Mayo with Kate McKinnon and Pete Davidson. That was okay.
That one I thought was the dumbest one.
Yeah, it probably was, but it was actually okay. You had the Bud Light genie with Peyton
Bud Light
Manning.
Genie,
Yeah,
yep.
the Bud Light genie. That was pretty good. The fact that they were at the stadium once he goes, "Hey, we want to go to the Super Bowl," and there they are. That was pretty funny. I liked that part.
Gotta tie him in.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that was great. So I liked that one. The Oreo twist on it commercial. We didn't talk about that. There was the T-Mobile commercial with Scrubs. Zach Braff, Donald Faison, and Jason Momoa.
That was a weird twist.
That was a weird one. I didn't appreciate the Starry commercials with Ice Spice in it. I'm like, they were kind of meh. But they had the Booking.com with Tina Fey and the other Saturday Night Live people that were in that with her. It was okay. The Dina Mita commercial for the Doritos.
Yeah.
That was okay. I don't know. What was your favorite commercial?
Best one was Talking Like Walking.
You think so?
Without a doubt.
Oh, all right.
Without a doubt. Because
Talking
it just
like
constantly, because it didn't matter what unusual character you put in front of him.
Right.
Everyone can do it, kind of.
Everyone can kind of do
It's not
Christopher Walken.
great, and it's not
No.
even 100% accurate, but
No.
it's funny enough.
Yeah.
My second favorite one was the Dunk Kings.
Dunk Kings, yeah.
Yeah, that one was really good. I actually really enjoyed the Beyonce Breaks the Internet one
Beyonce was pretty good in the fact that
because
the Barbie.
of Buster Bluth, or is that Buster Bluth? No, the guy who's with her
Yes.
is from
Yeah.
one of the Bluths from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
He was hilarious in it
Yep.
too.
Yep.
So those were all pretty good. But I think the commercial that got me the most excited was the Deadpool 3
The
trailer.
Deadpool trailer, right?
Yeah. Even though it was like a teaser and you had to go online to watch it,
Right.
but still, that jacked me up. The thing I was most disappointed about, actually, I'm going to save this for the end of the show.
Okay.
Like for my minute at the end.
The Budweiser commercial, I didn't with the Clydesdales, meh. Right? I didn't mind the Etsy one where they give the French the cheese plate, cheese plate. That was kind of funny.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty funny because the French are looking at it and they're like, ooh la la. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty funny. And then the Uber Eats one with the friends with Jennifer Aniston and
That's pretty good.
yeah, where she doesn't know who Ross is. That was okay. There was I think it was the other T-Mobile commercial. There was another one that had people auditioning to be on the Magenta VIP, which included Bradley Cooper and his mom, and right. That one was pretty funny because the Suits guys, right, in the garage doing their little dance thing, and then when the garage door goes up, then one of them's yelling "Mom," right? Okay, that's kind of funny. Um, you get Common, Laura Dern. That was a pretty good one. That was a star-studded one. The Judge Beauty, there was that one too, which wasn't that great. But the Beyonce one was pretty good. I thought the Barbie tie-in was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. I think the Dunkings one was my favorite just because of Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon was really good.
Yeah. And I thought Michael Cera it grew increasingly
Oh,
funny as it went.
I forgot about the If commercial.
The If commercial. What?
The movie If, where they had Ryan. So the movie stars Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski, but they had Randall
Oh
Park
yeah, Randall Park
playing
yes.
John Krasinski as a throwback to his
Yes.
Office thing.
That was hilarious.
That was a really good one. They only showed that once. I think they showed it before the Super Bowl.
Wait, you're not Jim? Right? That was pretty funny. Yeah. If you've seen the Office and watched that episode where
that got everyone like, oh man, this is good.
That's funny. But of course, Ryan Reynolds is also in that, and Ryan Reynolds makes everything better apparently. So,
yep.
I don't know.
For sure.
Anyway, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, Christopher Walken, Talking Like Walken was pretty good, and I like Arnold being Arnold. That was good, and I think they could have done. They were just kind of on the whole. I give the commercials a 5 this year. You know what I mean? Just a 5, maybe a 6. We could probably sneak out a 6 if I point to the highlights. Yeah. But there were a couple that were 8 or 9, and there was a bunch of 5s and 4s, right? Where you go, man, this is not. I'm not even interested, right? You got a celebrity in there, but I really don't care. So there was that, but I don't know. Did you like them? Did you like on the whole commercials?
Yeah,
this year?
It was pretty okay.
It was pretty okay.
Yeah.
Let's do the trivia question answer because that's what we get. That's what we do here. If you remember the trivia question, and I'm not saying you do, but if you remember the Stephen Stone trivia question, it was 3 times a losing Super Bowl. A losing Super Bowl team has returned to the Super Bowl the next year and won. What are the 3 teams? Now you named the Patriots once, right?
Right. I think I had the year wrong though.
The year is wrong.
I'm trying to remember back, but that's when I can't think of anybody else, so I'm gonna throw shots for teams I know have been to Super Bowls a bunch.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna go with the Packers.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Okay. So the Cowboys is one of them. There you go for throwing it out there. Cowboys have been to enough Super Bowls. You could have said the Cowboys, the Steelers, or you know what I mean. You had a good chance.
Yeah.
Of that, right. So let's start with the New England Patriots, right? So New England Patriots. Right. It was 2017 when they went back to the Super Bowl and won. So they lost the Super Bowl the previous year. Or they lost in 2017, sorry, and came back the next year and won. How about that? Let's put it that way. So, yeah, in 2017, they lost the Super Bowl 52, and then they come back and won the next year. That was the win over the Atlanta Falcons, by the way. So, that they won the bounce back win. So, let's go. No, I'm backwards. That was the year before that they beat the Falcons. And then the next year they go and they lose, and then the next year they come back and win because the Patriots couldn't quite win them in a row. They won a lot of them, just not in a row.
Just couldn't string them together.
Yeah, not as much. And so the other 2 teams that have ever done it are the 1970 Dallas Cowboys, lost Super Bowl 5, came back the next year and won Super Bowl 6 against the Miami Dolphins, who are the other answer.
Oh,
the Miami Dolphins lost that Super Bowl to the Cowboys and came back and won the next year against the Washington Redskins in the year that they went unbeaten.
Interesting.
So those are the 3 teams: is the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Cowboys. Those are the 3, and 2 of them were back-to-back years. So there's that. Now the 8 times a team has lost the Super Bowl and made it back to the Super Bowl, 3 of those are the Buffalo Bills.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
They went to 4 straight, so you had to lose 3 of them to get there. So anyway, there's that. The first team that ever did it, that got back to a Super Bowl, and that was the Cowboys in '70. So they were the very first team to lose and get right back to the Super Bowl. But yeah, there hasn't been that many teams. The Vikings did it, made it back to the Super Bowl in back-to-back years. The Broncos did it, lost them both. Like I said, the Bills lost 4 straight, so there's that. And then the Patriots. Those are the only teams that have ever done it.
Interesting.
So most of the teams that lose the Super Bowl make the playoffs the next year. There has been a few that have missed the playoffs. There's that, which happens. The worst record ever by a team that lost the Super Bowl, the next year's record was 4-12 by the Raiders in 2002. Well, 2003 season. They went 4-12. So the Falcons in '98, after they lost the '98 Super Bowl, which we were in Germany when that happened. Remember, that was the really late night, early morning football game that I stayed up for. They went 5-11 the next year. They were terrible. So yeah, there's that. But so anyway, it was an interesting stat. I saw it and I'm like, that's interesting that there's not been that many. It's hard to come back after you lose the Super Bowl to get back to the Super Bowl, let alone win one.
Yeah.
So Niners have their work cut out for them. So anyway, there you go. You had something you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
What do you got?
So it was the most disappointing and the most exciting thing all at once.
Okay.
So the thing that I was most looking forward to possibly seeing at this game was a commercial for NCAA football. For the new game that's coming out.
Yeah.
But it never happened. And so I walked away from it going, dang it, I didn't even get to see the one thing I really wanted to see. However, today they dropped an ad for it, announcing that a full unveil is coming in May. The game is scheduled to release in July. And so I am thoroughly jacked now.
Yeah, for 25, college football 25.
Yep.
Yeah.
25.
Who's going to be on the cover?
Dude, and then that's the great question. We're
Right.
thinking Caleb Williams,
Caleb
Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum. These are all candidates for it. Or do you want to put someone who's coming back? Like who's going to be here next year?
Who'll be in NCAA next year, right?
Yeah,
well, it's hard to tell.
Well, yeah. Well, by the time the game comes out, so they probably aren't even publishing discs yet. So the draft will come and go, and so you'll know who's still around.
Right.
By the time you start, making your discs and stuff like that. But I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, could be. Do you have you been looking at the mock drafts for the NFL for next year?
I've been peeking at them a little bit. Never sure what you're. They finally started publishing today or yesterday. A couple of ESPN guys started publishing their mock drafts.
So one of them, and this is Field Yates, I think, that I'm looking at here. He has Bo Nix going to the Steelers at 20 in the first round.
It hurts.
Just FYI, there's that one, and then you have another one that came out on the 5th of February, right? And that is Matt Miller. He says Bo Nix to the Broncos at 12.
Yep.
Right. And that's a possibility, but you've got this first 3 teams, which everybody seems to think that they're going to take 3 quarterbacks, and it's Williams, May, and Daniels, right? And that's possible.
Yeah.
But after that, then the jury's out in terms of who goes where, because you got Bo Nix, you got J.J. McCarthy, right, in that group. Those seem to be the next 2 that everyone seems to be talking about. And then you have, who everybody was, hey, what about Penix from Washington? Well, he's a second rounder at best in all of these draft picks.
He's got a big injury history.
Yep, he does. That's a problem, right? 2 knees and 2 shoulders. So it'll be interesting to see. But they've got him going in the second round to a couple different teams, and it's hard to say. And then Troy Franklin from the Ducks is the second rounder. One of the picks, one of the drafts has him going to the Raiders for J.J. McCarthy, and I'm like, okay, that'd be good if the Broncos had a second round pick and they picked Bo Nix. You could take them both, right? Package deal. You're already familiar with him, but the Broncos don't have a second round pick, so there's that. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm always curious about the draft and the top few players, and especially when there's that quarterback heavy year, like it seems to be. How many are going to go and where are they going to go? Quarterbacks always seem to rise at the end, because once quarterbacks start being taken, the other teams are like, well, I need to get a quarterback. And there's only 6 of them that I want, right? That are out there, though. So there's always going to be somebody who's going to make a mistake and take a guy when they shouldn't take a guy. There's always that. There's always the fact that somebody that you thought was a top 5 is going to slide to 30 or second round. Those are always interesting to see. Other than that, when a guy takes the defensive end, when at pick number 20 for the Steelers, they take Amarius Mims from Georgia. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's going to be good. Maybe he's not. I don't know, but we won't find out until after, training camp if he has a pink slip or not, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's when you find out a lot about a lot of these players. So, it's interesting. It'll be interesting. I'm excited.
The draft is tough to predict.
It really is.
I feel like my pick has never been right.
No.
And then when you got Caleb Williams out here saying, I don't want to play for this team or that team,
Yeah.
throws a whole wrench in everything.
I don't know. Mel Kiper's, the last one I have from Mel Kiper was January 23rd, which has been, that's almost a month, right? And his also has May, Daniels, and Williams, right? Top 3. And then, of course, Marvin Harrison. He has Brock Bowers going a lot higher, like at 5 to the Chargers. I wouldn't mind that for Justin
people
Herbert's
are wondering if the Broncos bring back, oh my gosh, what's his name? Wilson. If that happens, because apparently that's more on the table than people realize. If that happens, they're saying that Brock Bowers is a huge target for the Broncos if he falls that far, or one of the other great receivers that's out there.
Mel Kiper doesn't have either the Broncos or the Raiders taking the quarterback in the first round, and the other drafts do.
Who do they have the Broncos taking?
He has the Broncos taking Laiatu. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's
offensive lineman?
Linebacker from UCLA, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and
I don't even think we need that.
that's possible. He has the J.J. McCarthy going to the Seahawks, right? So there's that, yeah, which would be interesting. They will need a quarterback probably, but that's all he has, I think, in the first round in terms of. But he also has Troy Franklin going in the first round of the Chiefs, which would be a great pickup for the Chiefs, honestly, because they could use a stretcher, right?
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, especially since they're going to cut Tony
right
after the season.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things. It's still up for grabs, and nobody knows for sure, but it's a lot of fun to speculate. So it'd be interesting. Anyway, anything else before we go?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, I think that we're probably done for today. Want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Stone Wine Estates, in Hood River, and Boss Kitty Yarns. That's a little loud, isn't it? Got to bring it down a little bit. I don't know.
It's
anyway.
too loud, you're too old.
Well, I am. There's that. So we'll be back next week. Have no idea what we're going to cover. I honestly don't at this point. It probably NBA. We'll talk about the All-Star game, which happens this weekend. We'll talk about an NHL update. The NBA. We'll talk about the fact that Major League Baseball has reported to spring training. Not that that's any big deal, but maybe there's something. We'll talk a little bit about it if we got time. I don't know what we're going to cover because college basketball. We'll talk about that preview. I mean, we're getting close to March Madness, so there's that. But anyway. Again, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank you all for listening. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.